Hi, my name is Matteo and this is my VR lap at the Nürburgring GP on the Formula Renault 3.5. So enjoy the lap and we'll take the tutorial later. Alright, so the lap was 140.1 or 0.5. Let's go back to the beginning. Little bit before here. Okay, so first of all, welcome back to my track tutorials. It's been a while. I thought it was a great idea to start doing them back with this new amazing car that I am absolutely in love with. So I'm a bit sick, so you will forgive me if my voice is not the sexiest. And this car, compared to the Formula Renault 2.0, is much more powerful and it has a great amount of downforce. The Formula Renault, the 2.0 actually, because they're both Formula Renault, had a more mechanical grip on its side, while this car it's really lacking on mechanical grip. So you will find, and you will see it in the lap, that on slow turns it's not that easy to deal with, while on the faster you go, the easier it gets, just simply. So weather-wise, we got this new iRacing update, so I cannot tell you anymore any longer what the track temp is and stuff like that. I just inputted the day of the week and the time of the day that is in the actual schedule for season 1 of 2019, which is the 29th of November 2018, 12 and 22 for time of the day. Of course, this is an offline testing, and as usual, I don't know if this is a good lap or not, because the car is new and I haven't raced yet. Even worse, because I don't have the Zolder, so I just waited for everybody to cool down after the first week and coming back for the Nürburgring. So yeah, actually the funny thing is that I think this official schedule is scheduled for the 30th of November, but the track is closed, so it's not selectable, and the first selectable date is on the 29th. It doesn't really matter, because after all it's winter and the track on with this time model can go lower than 18 degrees, I think. So it's not gonna get much colder than this. Other than this, I'm using a high downforce setup. I don't know if it's me. I haven't found a way to make the mid downforce and low downforce to work well. Not here, not on other tracks. Maybe I had a bit of luck with low downforce setup in Monza, but we'll see later during the rest of the season. Actually, so far I found out that the advantages, that the pros of a good high downforce setup completely destroys the cons, because even if the car is slightly slower on the straights, which amounts to, like on this straight here, the difference between high downforce and mid downforce was, if I'm correct, about 1-2 tenths on the straight. So it's not that much, but basically the car recovers all of them in a couple of turns. So I don't really know how worth it will be to race mid downforce or low downforce on tracks that just don't have very long straights. This track is pretty small. It's very driven. I mean, there's a lot of turns and everything. So I think high downforce will be the go-to solution for everybody who's not an alien, basically, or not a pro driver. This is the safest way to enjoy the car. The car is much more enjoyable with the high downforce setup, which will keep the grip down, keep the grip level tight, and the car will just respond better, and it will be faster in the turns, more exciting to drive, just funnier, I think. So, and safer, of course. So I strongly suggest everybody who want to try this car and is not a pro driver and they don't aim for the WC, to just keep high downforce, at least for this track. So with this said, let's go check the lap. Okay, we had to turn one. As you know, in the Nürburgring, it's slightly bent, so you have to stay slightly inwards. If you see, I'm heading a bit towards the center of the track here, and then when you get to 70 meters, this is the 100 meters, so it will be something like here. You slam the brakes, but before doing that you have to be sure that the wheel is completely straight. So put the car straight, in a straight line going towards the outside of the track, and just go 3 gears down to third. Slam the brakes 100%, and remember downforce braking, because with this car is even more important. When you're at high speed you have a high downforce level, so of course you have more grip and you brake more, but as soon as you start slowing down and losing downforce, the air will stop pushing on the car and you will just lose grip. So you will probably lock your wheels if you brake too hard. So remember that the more you brake and the more you slow down, the more you have to release the brakes. So you can just start really almost 100%. You can see here, yeah, I was basically as 90-95%, and then you go down to third very quickly, and then you have to get in third gear pretty much when you get to the turn in. At the turn in, you release the brakes even more. You go into trail braking and switch to second, as you can see here, third and then second, and then you're out of the turn. Another thing that it's worth noting, if you don't know the track, is that here there's a gap. You can see here it's a little downhill here. So it is actually worth cutting a little bit, but you also risk of losing the car if you use a stiff car like I do, because it will bounce a lot from here. So you also risk losing time, you risk spinning, and you risk damaging the car. So all in all, try this out and see what works better for you. I found myself using a bit wider turn in here. You see, the car is bouncing a lot. Coming out here, this is actually very interesting. I'm using 3 on the throttle mapping, because it's basically more sensitive in the middle of the pedal travel and less sensitive at the bottom and at the top. So what you want to do is to put the gas down just a little bit, wait for the grip, start to get a feel of the tires, listen to the sound of the screeching of the tires. So go to audio and raise it up a little bit if you don't hear it, and if the engine is too loud, go to the camera tool and turn down the microphone gain of the cockpit camera. So you start ramping up. So at first you stay quite low, just almost coasting, just to get a feel of the grip, and then as you start releasing the wheel, you ramp up. You stay around 60-70% for a little bit, and then you open up everything that you have. You squeeze the pedal as with the 2.0. You squeeze the pedal and you get to 100%. I've seen that I didn't need to be very straight, but it might be that I have a longer second gear to help me getting out of the turn. Yeah, I've lost the car a little bit. And then you don't have to go all the way to this side here. You lose time, and you will also open yourself up to an attack on the inside. So get in third, actually stay in third, and then just lift and let the car travel to the apex. Be very careful here not to accelerate, because you will lose the car. This is very slippery. This car doesn't like curbs. No matter what settings you're using, no matter what setup you've done, this car doesn't like curbs. So you have to be very careful. You have to test it and see what the grip level is on all the curbs, and see what you can and cannot do. So you leave the car slipping out. So now the car is going outside, and I start ramping up the throttle. Be careful, because even if you're in third, and even if the third is a long gear, you can still spin here. So be very, very careful. And then don't use the curb here. The Astro and the curb is not very good unless you're completely straight with the wheel. And then you get in here, down to second, you let the car coast into the turn. You sacrifice the exit of this turn, because for the entry of the turn, you want to aim a little bit to this grill here, the grate. I don't know if you can see it. There's a grate here incoming. So try to aim a little earlier than there. And actually, this whole section, so turn 2, 3, and 4, which is incoming, don't try to push too much, because if you try to be fast in this section, you will probably lose time. So just try to settle the car in and do everything as cleanly as you can, and you will see that the time will come, the lap times will come by themselves. Don't try to push too hard, because you will just throw the car outside of the line and lose a lot of more time than what you're gaining. So as you can see, leave the car going, leave the car going, and then when you're here, you open the gas all the way down. You have to try again to stay a bit on the outside, not too much because otherwise you won't have speed, but a little bit on the outside, and cut through this corner here. Then again, check on the during practice what you can and cannot do to not take the incident, and lift to give grip to the front and put the car in, and don't accelerate at all unless you come down completely, the car is completely down from the curbs. So you wait. Again, you can use 15, 20, 30% of the gas to get a feel of the grip before squeezing the throttle, and then you open up, and here you can, sorry, VLC is acting up as usual. You can cut here. Okay, this is not an incident point, this is still track, so you can go outside of here, so you can really use the whole track to get a better exit. But what you can do is cut here. This is bad. This is an incident, so don't go here. And anyway, you have grip now, so you can just slam the car in as I'm doing and get back on the track. So we get to this turn here, which is turn 6. You get to the last cone, and then you just lift. Try to stay on the outside. There's some mud. I don't know, some brown astroturf here. Stay on the outside. Use it. You're not accelerating, so don't be scared. Stay on the outside. Lift, and then just slam the car into the turn. You will be very fast, and if you're coming from the Formula Renault 2.0, it will feel really weird because we're used to downshift from here and be very gentle with the car here. And this car doesn't really care. You can just slam it in. You can see it, and then be very careful. Don't lift too late. Otherwise, you will find yourself here and you will compromise your exit, or you will have to brake with your wheel turned away from the center, and that will be even worse, at least with the setup I'm using. So you will I've lost the car here several times because I've done this. So I just lift here at the cone, lift, let the car in, and wait for the car to come out after the apex to pick up the throttle just a little bit to bring the car here, to give it a bit more stability. You see it's not very much. Then you brake decently harder, fairly harder, not too much, just half of the travel of the pedal. Two gears down to third, and then when you want to turn in the car to get the apex, you go down to second again. Oh, you get down to second. All right, there. This is 2. Okay, I promise you. You get in. Hello. You get inside to the apex here. Wait for the turn to complete, and then open the gas again. Actually, it's even better if you get a flow. So you brake, release the brake, and open the gas soon after. I'll slow it down for you so you can see. No, a bit more. No, okay. So you come out of here, you brake, you trail braking into the corner, down to second, turning in, and then you open up the gas as soon as you can. You see, you're already at speed, so you have plenty of downforce, so it shouldn't be a problem getting the throttle out. As long as you're on the track and your wheel is not facing some funny direction, like all the way towards this, it should be fine. You should have grip. You can just squeeze the throttle like the old Formula Renault, and you should be done with it. Just be careful about, again, the curbs, because it doesn't like it, the car. So keep the wheel straight. You can ride the curb with the throttle down if the wheel is straight. Then you get out of here. That's a straight. Yeah, I didn't use DRS on my lap because it feels like it's taking away from the lap. This is going to be in the race. The DRS, you will lose it. It will be used in attack mode during the race and just during the qualifying. So you can figure it out by yourself. I wanted to concentrate on what you have to do to get a good pace through the 30-35 minutes race that it's going to be ahead. So you get onto this curb here, and you see it's divided in two parts. So there's an early curb here. You can ride this part here. You won't spin. It's kind of like an Astro. You get onto this curb. Don't go too far on the left because this is slippery. And try to get a feel. You should brake somewhere along here, halfway between the second curb and the start of the first curb. And this is a turn that you can take. There are like 2 or 3 different lines that you can take to take this curve here. This is the arena, and all of them are pretty equivalent, I think. I like to slam the car in, delay my braking, so the car slightly dips into the center. So it's like 2 apexes corner, so the car goes in and then comes out. Another line is just people that enters the turn, just ride the curb on the inside, stay very close to the curb, and then exits out. And another line that I've seen is people delaying the braking zone, delaying the apex, getting very late here, and then turning on the apex here, like having the apex I think around here, so the car goes like this and then exiting out. As I said before, I like to get the double apex line, which is here, dipping in a little bit and then exiting out. So you're braking here all the way down. Thank you, VLC again. Moving towards an early first apex, you dip in a little bit, then you're back on the throttle again. This curb here should be fine. This curb here should be fine. It shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, be careful and keep the wheel straight all the time. If you're not very sure, if you don't feel safe, same thing as the Formula Renault 2.0, just release the throttle a little bit. That should be alright to deal with most of the curbs around and not spin. Now this is the Michael Schumacher S, and ride the curb here because you have the wheel straight, and then try to get a late apex on this turn here. The objective is to get this tire as close as possible to this line without riding it, because if you just touch the curb, the car will spin. At least in my setup, that is. So slam the car in as usual. Don't release the throttle if you're on high downforce mode. Try to get as close to the curb without riding it. Don't touch it if possible, so you don't unsettle the car. And then exiting, you can ride this blue AstroTurf here. It should be alright, but don't go further than this, otherwise you will have to you will meet the gravel and probably will spin. And then exiting, again, use the whole truck. This is actually interesting. Oh, I'm a bit too far. This is actually interesting. During the qualifying, you can take this with the DRS open, full throttle. You have to be very careful, so practice that and try to find the correct line. Try to move the wheel the little as possible, so you can keep the DRS open and get out. You will probably have to get all the way out and ride the curb here on the exit. So you brake at the 100-meter mark here, much or less, probably a bit earlier. Otherwise, you can brake a little bit later and ride the green curb here. Slam the car in. This car likes to be slammed on the inside apex. And then pick up the throttle again. Move to the outside as much as you can. I didn't move that much. You can do better than me, actually. You can do better, move outside. This turn here is still weird to me, so I'm not sure I'm doing this correctly. I hope I am. Probably I have to lose a bit more time here. I'm putting it in fourth gear, then third again to get to the apex, and then opening the gas as soon as I can. But I think it can be improved. Here I try to stay on the inside, and again on the inside to save space. And this is one of the most interesting braking zones of iRacing. I really love it. Again, you're riding a high downforce car, so you have to slam the brakes down and then release them as soon as you lose downforce. So you really have to find the right grip. So this is very much about feel. If you're in practice, try to start from the braking from the 100-meter mark, and you will probably see that you will stop the car early, and you will have to do the turn-in coasting. The fastest way to do this is to brake as late as you can, and keeping on braking until you get to the apex. So basically you start braking kind of halfway between the two signs. Yeah, you see, halfway. You slam it down 100%, keep the wheel super straight, and then go down 3 down to third. And again, as the first braking zone, 3 down to third. And when you get in third, you start releasing the pressure. You're approaching the turn-in, and for the turn-in you want to be in second. You're releasing the brake again, but you haven't stopped braking, and you have to approach the apex here, of course. Little hit on the gas, just a little bit to not lose time. Apex again, and here this is a fun exit, very funny exit. So what you want to do again is to get a feel. I had a little bit of oversteer, but again you want to have a little bit of feel of the grip here by giving it a 15-20% throttle, and then when you get the car straight, you squeeze down the pedal and open up. In this case I got a little bit of a wobble, so I had to recover it, and I was here already. And here as the sector 1, there are really no good marking points, braking marks. So I'm in VR, and it's a little bit easier than on the monitor. I get a feel where I am. I try to follow the pit lane here, so when I see the pit lane moving in, I start braking. This is I'm not very consistent on this turn actually during the race, so I have to improve this. I can't find a marking spot anywhere, so I just try to check with this wall here. Yeah, you see the red-white lines are stopping here. Then you brake a little bit, just a tiny bit, to give grip to the front. You ride the inside curb. Be very careful, because this thing will break your car, of course. And then when you get to the apex, you can go down to second if you want. It's not necessary actually, just if you got inside the turn a bit too fast. And then go back to third. don't run the second gear all the way to 100% RPM, because you will have a lot of torque, and your car will probably spin, or you will be busy trying to catch it without having it to spin, so you will lose time. Best way, I think, is putting it in third, so cutting the second short and putting it in third as soon as you can, and then just slam the gas down. You can still spin here because it's really bumpy. You wouldn't spin otherwise, but since there's a lot of bumps and I have a stiff car, you can spin. So try to ride the entirety of the track. And the curb here will not unsettle the car, lucky for us. But be careful, because you got a 1X incident on the outside, so don't ride it too much. And then we're at the end, and the lap is finished. So have fun this week. Try again the DRS, because you will have to move your braking zones a lot with the DRS, and when you will use it, it will be when you're attacking a car, and you will want to focus on the car you're attacking. So just practice and try to understand during the race rationally, so just remember it, and force yourself to it, that if you got the DRS open, you cannot brake on the same mark that you were braking as before. So this is to try to avoid to hit the other cars and ruin your race and other people's race. So remember, if you have the DRS open, like with the Formula 1 car, brake earlier, because you're having much more speed. So be careful about that. All right, that's all, and see you not next week, because I don't have Barber. I don't know if I will buy it or not. I don't know if I want to learn the track. I will see. Otherwise, we will see in 2 weeks. Bye.